Okay, this is a DC circuit superposition problem. We have a voltage source and a current source and two resistors, and we're asked to find the current in this resistor, and it says using superposition. So with superposition, you only solve for one source at a time, and then at the end you combine the two. So I'm going to start with solving for the voltage source. Or I think I started with solving with the current source. So with the voltages, you short them out, and with the current sources, you open it. You make it an open circuit. So I did start with the current. I shorted the supply, and you basically just put a wire there to short the supply. And when you short it, it basically makes this leg invisible. So now you have this circuit. In solving for this circuit, if you know the current divider rule, you can just use it, which is, if you want to solve for the current here, you multiply this by the opposite leg divided by the sum of these two, which turned out to be 1 amp. And I guess work solving that manually, you would first get the total resistance. These are in parallel, so you have 1 over 5 plus 1 over 10, and that gives you 3.33 ohms. Now you have the total resistance and a current. So now you can get the voltage here, which is current times resistance, just equal to 10 volts. Now you can replace it back to how it was. We can replace that current source with the voltage, which is 10, and you can split the resistors back into their single elements. So you have 10 volts going to each leg. Get the current here. You have 10 divided by 10 ohms, which is 1 amp, which is the same thing you got using the current divider rule. And basically the current divider rule comes from what I just did. It's basically this here. You started off with the resistors in parallel, R1 plus R2, 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2. That breaks down to this, and then you multiply your current times that total resistance. That gives you this, and then that your current is going to be your voltage, which is this. It's going to be your voltage divided by your resistance total, which is this. And you notice your R2 cancels because you're dividing by your resistance total, which is this here. Oh, sorry, you're not dividing by resistance total, but you're dividing by R. The current in the middle was R2. R2 was 10, so you're dividing voltage by R2. And remember, this is your voltage if you divide it by R2. These will cancel, which is your current divider rule equation. Okay, the other part was taking out the current source, which you make it an open circuit, which is the circuit here. And with that, you're solving for the current. With that open, you have a series circuit. So to get the total resistance is 5 plus 10, which is 15. 10 divided by 15, 0.667 amps. Now you combine those two, you get 1 amp plus 0.67, and that's your total current using superposition.